This week, global markets breathed a cautious sigh of relief as the US President Donald Trump announced a 90-day pause on his sweeping new tariffs, a decision that sent stocks soaring from Wall Street to Shanghai. But while the markets rallied, China found itself excluded from the pause, triggering an escalation that could have far-reaching consequences. So, what led to this sudden shift? What's behind Trump's tariff pause? And why is China being singled out? Let's unpack what really happened. Just days before the pause, the global economy was bracing for impact. President Trump had unveiled a dramatic tariff plan, slapping new duties on dozens of countries with rates ranging from 10% to nearly 50%. The goal? What Trump calls reciprocal tariffs, forcing countries to lower their trade barriers or face American retaliation. The announcement sent markets spiraling. In Asia, indices plunged. The EU and India threatened countermeasures. And China, already in a tense standoff with the US, responded with a 34% retaliatory tariff, prompting the US to fire back with an unprecedented 104% tariff on Chinese goods. It looked like a full-blown trade war.
You mentioned the 70 countries or so. I'm curious, though, under what conditions at this point would President Trump talk to President Xi about tariffs?
Look, I just spoke to the president about this, and he believes that China wants to make a deal with the United States. He believes China has to make a deal with the United States. It was a mistake for China to retaliate. The president, when America is punched, he punches back harder. That's why there will be 104% tariffs going into effect on China tonight at midnight. But the president believes that Xi and China want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get that started. And the president also wanted me to tell all of you that if China reaches out to make a deal, he'll be incredibly gracious, but he's going to do what's best for the American people.
Then, almost abruptly, Trump hit the brakes, announcing a 90-day pause on new tariffs for most nations. On his Truth Social account, Trump explained that countries had reached out, seeking negotiations rather than retaliation. The pause, he said, was a gesture of goodwill, aimed at encouraging talks, not punishing allies. But make no mistake, this wasn't a reversal. Tariffs on China not only remained, they were raised further, to a staggering 125%, a move Trump said was necessary because China, in his words, showed no respect and continued unfair trade practices.
Bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I think everything had. Well, the big move wasn't what I did today. The big move was what I did on Liberation Day.
Wall Street erupted in one of its biggest single-day rallies since World War II. The S&P 500 jumped 9.5%, the Nasdaq soared over 12%, and the Dow rocketed nearly 3,000 points. Global markets followed suit, with the Nikkei, Hang Seng, and FTSE all seeing sharp gains. Investors interpreted the tariff pause as a sign that the worst might be avoided, at least temporarily. But analysts remain wary. The pause is not permanent, and China's exclusion means tensions remain very much alive. Even more concerning, the pause hasn't changed the broader structure of Trump's economic agenda, which continues to embrace high tariffs as a tool of leverage. The decision to keep China under severe tariffs highlights the depth of the US-China divide. Trump and his allies argue that China has long manipulated trade, stolen intellectual property, and undermined US manufacturing. The higher tariffs, they say, are a tool to rebalance the playing field, even if it risks short-term economic pain. Beijing, meanwhile, sees the US approach as hostile and unilateral. In retaliation, China has now raised tariffs on US goods to 84%, hitting American agriculture and technology sectors particularly hard. The Chinese Foreign Ministry condemned the US for economic coercion and warned that it would defend its interests at any cost.
美国打贸易战，美国肯定是打不过中国。第一个，它的人口，它的这个制造业，包括人口，它的制造业几乎也空心化了。因为过去它主要注重发展是赚钱的，在就用这一块，它发展的比较快，所以它的商品制造这一块，它几乎都空心化了。所以中国就这样，中国制造的那个门类齐全，跟它打一样。中国有14亿的人口，所以讲这个走内循环这一块，他比他肯定能打过他。而且特朗普现在是以世界为敌人了。
With a 90-day clock ticking, trade talks are expected to intensify. The U.S. is reportedly in quiet negotiations with the EU, Japan, India, and others to hammer out bilateral deals that Trump sees as more favorable. But progress with China remains uncertain and increasingly unlikely. Domestically, Trump's move has drawn mixed reactions. Some Republicans are growing uneasy with the market instability and backlash from business leaders, while others cheer the aggressive posture. Democrats warn that the tariff war could fuel inflation and hurt American consumers. Meanwhile, the world watches closely, not just to see if the tariff pause holds, but to understand whether this is a tactical move or the opening salvo in a longer trade war that will define Trump's economic legacy.
Mr. Speaker, this is a lousy budget. It is a budget that will hurt working families. It is a budget that will especially hurt families who are struggling in poverty. Republicans have succeeded in putting together a Marie Antoinette budget, helping the richest of the rich while hurting the poorest of the poor. Let them eat cake. That is the Republican motto. And I've never seen such cruelty contained in a budget in all my years here.